Streaming live from the John Placino studio inside of Secaucus, New Jersey. It's the Sports Wrap-Up Show on WHIT. Call in and join the conversation at 201-589-0321. I'm your announcer, Cayden, and I am also your host. We're wrapping up sports. The World Cup happened this weekend, as it's been happening for the past week. We saw some interesting games from some interesting teams. Most notably, the United States surprise tie over England. They tied them 0-0, held all-powerful top 5 England team to no goals. They couldn't score, though, so it ended in a tie, which was a solid result for the U.S. team and hopefully some good signs of what's to come in their future. We saw some stars like Ronaldo and Neymar first take the field, who both won their first games in pretty convincing fashion. We did see a good game, though, between Portugal and Ghana, a 3-2 Portugal win with some drama at the end. We had the Ghana defenseman sneak up behind the goalie and steal the ball. He was about to score, but then he tripped and the ball did not go into the net. So Portugal held on to the 3 points there. What other interesting games did we have? We had Wales got beat by Iran, which in the last 3 minutes too, which is a pretty shocker. That in all sense eliminated Wales from contention of making it past the group stage. They now need what is essentially a goal differential miracle if they want to make it on. They are all but eliminated, and they will be eliminated tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The U.S., though, they're still in it by quite a bit. They got good chance here when they play Iran. They must win. It is a must-win game. A tie won't do it. They have to win, which shouldn't be too much of a problem, though, but they've only scored 1 goal this whole tournament. They've tied both of their games, but a tie won't do it in this one. They need the win. NFL. The NFL also happened over the weekend. We had the Thanksgiving matchups, which none of them were too interesting. We had the Cowboys beat the Giants in pretty convincing fashion. Vikings won, again, in pretty convincing fashion. So nothing too much of interest, except the Bills, who beat the Lions by a measly 3 points. Sure, they did not cover the spread there. And as we go across the board, we see the Vikings beat the Patriots. The Dolphins crush the Texans. Bengals take the win, as well as the Panthers, Jets. Commanders just barely beat the Falcons, so not a great performance from them in a game they probably should have won by more points. The Buccaneers held off against the Browns. The Browns beat the Buccaneers in overtime. Interesting game there if you were watching that one. I didn't. I was busy doing other things. If we turn to the night game, though, we see the Eagles played the Green Bay Packers with star quarterback Jalen Hurts going against former star quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He's not very starry anymore. He threw 2 interceptions in their 40-33 loss. A not very good game from either team's defense. But the Eagles did manage to put up 40 and take the win on that one. Clutch kick by Jake Elliott at the end there, and then getting the first down at the end to send the Eagles to their best start in franchise history at 10-1. They've basically already clinched a playoff spot, and we'll see where things go from here. I'm thinking we get, number 1 seed and win the Super Bowl, start a great dynasty, and the whole team goes into the Hall of Fame. But, we'll see what happens. We got a lot of time before all that unravels out. If we look at the NFC playoff picture, we got a lot of teams fighting for it. More specifically in the NFC East, all 4 teams right now would be in a playoff spot if the season ended today. But I assume that won't be the case because in the next couple of weeks, we see a lot of intra-division matchups. So one team has to lose those. Unless we see a bunch of ties, I think we probably see 3 NFC East teams make it into the playoffs. So we got Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. Commanders in last place where they belong. And but if we look at it, they're all above 500 and pretty well above 500. The Commanders find themselves on a very fluky 3-game win streak. Eagles have been very consistent with their 10-1 record.
Yeah, I mean, we won 3 in a row, and the Eagles won 2 in a row. And they lost to the Commanders for that.
But we've also beat the Commanders and scoreboard. Look at our record. We see that. So let's see who makes the playoffs from the NFC East here. I think if only it's still possible 4 teams could make it, but if we're being realistic, only 3 will. Eagles have essentially locked it in. They're going.
So you're saying the Giants were losing 2 games in a row at the late in this late?
I'm not counting the Commanders out here. I'm just saying if I had to pick 3 teams to go through, I trust the Giants to get it done more than the Commanders do.
So you are saying that? You just said you're not.
No, I'm not counting the Commanders out. I think they can still do it. I think 4 teams could make it, but if I had to choose one, I trust the Giants more to get the job done against the competition given to them.
All right. So the hottest thing is the Dolphins won 5 in a row.
Yeah, but they're not. They got 3 losses. If you got more than 1 loss, it's over.
Oh
in my
God,
book.
this guy is so arrogant. Oh, is the mic open? I'm sorry. The Chiefs won 5 in a row.
Yeah, but
2 losses.
I see 2 in the loss column, and it kind of kicks them out of the competition in my head.
Yeah.
So let's look at all the teams that have less than 2 losses. Let's try to find all the teams that do.
Let's start at the top here. We'll start with the NFC.
Oh, I see one.
Okay, here's one.
I see one. It's the Eagles. And wow, I don't see any more. Wow, the NFC South is downhill right now, man. They got no one above 500. See,
wow,
that's where the NFC East is getting all of their
wins
with their playoff spots from. I don't know if they're playing too many NFC South teams, but the NFC South teams are giving all the rest of the teams a good shot at the playoffs here. It's basically a handed over gift, and when Tom Brady's playing, they got to give him playoff spots. So why not place him in the worst division? It's a match made in heaven. We see no one there. Yep. Absolutely no one. And if we look ahead into the schedule of the NFC East, we see a lot of intra-divisional matchups. So if you're rooting for a 4-team, excuse me, if you're rooting for a 4-team NFC East playoff, you're rooting for ties. Ties are not very common. We see no ties in the NFC. There have not been a single team that's had a tie yet. What about the AFC? Any ties? I like ties. Oh, there's been a tie in the AFC South. Man, that division's horrible. Who's the Texans' 1 win to? Is it the Commanders? I think it's the Commanders. I think the Texans beat the Commanders in the early season. Just goes to show how much of a fluky team they are.
There you go. Commanders, Texans.
Oh, they beat them.
Yes, handily. On the road.
Fair enough.
If you had the Texans and 12, you lost.
You're right. I'll never forget the day I walked into this classroom and Mr. DePiero had up on the board in big letters, if you had Eagles at plus 10, you lost because the Commanders had a fluky last-second touchdown.
I'm so happy you guys. You're going to remember that for the rest of your life.
Put them over. I'll try my best to forget it, but you better believe when the Commanders get knocked out by the Eagles in the NFC divisional round, you'll see when the Eagles beat the Commanders in the NFC divisional round. I'll show you how many points they'll win by, and I'll put it all up on the board. And in big letters for you to read. Baseball, not much happening in baseball. We got the World Baseball Classic coming up soon where all the countries play each other. Bryce Harper got robbed for the MVP, so no one really cares about that. But yeah, let's talk about the World Baseball Classic.
Wait, you couldn't even hear it. Never mind.
Can you not hear? Bryce Harper won't be playing for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. He was, but then he had to get surgery on his thumb. And let's look at this interesting clip Mr. DePiero's putting up on the screen here. I've never seen this before. I wonder what's going to happen. Oh, there's bases loaded in the 9th inning, and they're down 2 runs. I wonder what he's going to do here. Let's see what happens. And Bryce Harper, the windup, and the pitch. Oh, my God! He drills it, and it's way gone. And the Phillies will win, and then that they go to the World Series.
Yeah, how'd the World Series go, Cayden?
They made it to the World Series. Can you believe that?
How did it end?
They made it to the World Series. I bet you didn't think they'd do that, but they made it to the World Series. What a successful season it was for the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies. Team USA should have a pretty easy time winning the World Baseball Classic. And weather happens, you know. Weather happens sometimes when we least expect it. And today weather is happening. It's 53 degrees out with a high of 55. So Tuesday it gets colder, and Wednesday it's a really weathery day because it rains. Stuff falls from the sky. It's pretty cool when it happens, but it's not very cool when you're trying to walk to the bus stop and it's raining on you. Then it's not as cool as it sounds. We also get some rain on Saturday and Monday, but there's 3 lines of rain on Wednesday, so I assume that means that there's more rain because there's 3 blue lines coming from the clouds, and they're all solid because on Saturday there's 2 dotted lines. So more rain on Wednesday, I guess. And that's our show. Thank you for watching the sports wrap-up show on WHIT. Tune into WHIT's YouTube and Twitter for more info and shows. Have a great day.